So when you go to mount your photos in Photo 2, one of the things that I want you to really look at is to see if you have any spots on your photos created by dust or fuzz, possibly a scratch, things like that. We have these spot pens. They are in the drawer right under the press. There's a drawer called Spotting Materials right under the irons over by the press. And you can see they range in shades of gray, from 1, which is almost white, all the way to 10, which is black. And basically it's for filling in little tiny dots on the photos created by dust. So if you can see these spots right in here, these little white spots, okay, created by some dust. I just found these photos in the Lost and Found, picked out a few that I could show you. You can see, I think, pretty well this spot right here. There's also some other tinier spots that might be a little bit harder to see on the camera, but I'm going to show you how to fill some of those in. So I really want you to look over your photos, and you can do this either before or after you actually mount the photo onto mat board, but take a good look at it before you turn it in, because that is something that I'm going to look at, and I do want you to try using some of these markers to fill in the spots if you have spots. So for the spot pens, I think I will, I think I will do this one first, since it is kind of noticeable. There is another one right in there. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the area around the spot and the darkness of that. And I typically go with a shade lighter than what I think that matches on the markers. So I would say this might be like a 6. I think it looks a lot darker on camera than it actually looks to me. So I think a 6 is what it probably matches, but just in case, I'm gonna start with a 5, because it's easier to build up and go darker. You can always go darker, you can't go lighter. So let me set the camera down here so you can see the spot. And get this number 5 out. And you'll notice on the pen tip, as I take the cap off, is a very fine point, okay? And basically, you are just going to very lightly dab in the marker right on the spot to kind of fill it in. And I don't have a really good angle here, so you'll see how that turns out. I think that covers it up pretty well. If it looks like it's, covering it up pretty well, I would stop. I think the 5 worked pretty good. I would stop, and then if it, once it dries, if it looks like it needs more, you can always go back into it a little bit more, okay? And again, there's also this spot up here, and again, I'm just gonna kind of dab that in. Remember that your picture is made up of tiny pixels, or tiny grain, kind of like the pixels of a computer image, is what I was thinking about, but made up of grain, so all the little tiny dots. So you're not like really painting it in like with a brush kind of thing. You're just like dabbing it in, like, thinking about like the dots of the picture, okay? I'm gonna try the 5 on these dots as well, just to see. I think they kind of cover in pretty well. Now, you want to try to avoid making it darker. If it ends up getting darker, take your finger and just kind of wipe it off real quick before it dries. The idea is that you make the spots less noticeable to the viewer. I think I'm actually going to go with a 4 on this one. Less noticeable to the viewer. You are probably still going to see them, more than likely. But it's to make them less noticeable to everybody else, and that's kind of the goal. So again, just kind of really lightly dabbing it in, filling in any of those little marks. I think that 4 works pretty good on that, and I could still keep going on some of these other little spots. I don't know if you can see that one or not, but anything created by that fuzz or dust that sometimes gets stuck on the negative, these markers will help fill that in. Okay, so please use these as necessary on your photos. Just check them over. Get the markers out if you need them. If you need me to help you or to get you started on a photo, or if you have a really tricky spot, just let me know and I will help you out and get you started on getting those filled in.